Which of these sounds more intense to you?
I am someone. Still I try to get some sky and I don't know why. I am someone. Still I try to get some sky and I don't know why.
Let me show you how I compress vocals to get them sounding as aggressive and intense as I want, like you just heard. And if you want your next song to sound intense, then head over to terrybeckleyrecording.com and drop me a message there. The link is in the description. So as you heard from the intro, the second one sounded more intense, right? And that was down to the attack and release settings of the compressor. So I'm going to show you how to compress vocals to get that kind of aggressive, in-your-face vocal sound. Now this applies to metal and it applies to pop punk and those kind of genres because that's what we do here at this channel. So a quick note before we get into it, I'm choosing the 1176 to demonstrate this. I think you'll find with this kind of genre, most of the pros will use a similar kind of compressor, one that's really fast, one that you can really get those spitting sounds out of the vocal with. So for this purposes, I'm going to use the Waves CLA 76. So in this video, I'm not going to get into the different parameters of a compressor and how it works. We're going to manipulate the attack and release settings to get that aggressive sound. The threshold is going to stay the same, the ratio is going to stay the same, and we're just going to mess with the attack and release. So what do the attack and release do? The attack is how much of the signal it's going to let through once it hits the threshold before it clamps down on it, and the release is how quickly it's going to let go of that so that it's ready to compress again. Okay, so I know from using this CLA 76 that I want the attack to be between 3 and 4, which is in the upright position there. That's because I know that's how much of the initial transient of the vocal comes through. That's how much I want. It's actually the release that's really going to manipulate how aggressive and in your face that sounds. And that is kind of counterintuitive when you think about it, because the release is just when the compressor is letting go so that you're ready to compress again. But in fact, the faster or slow of a release that you set really does depict how aggressive that's going to sound. So to demonstrate this, let's listen to that same metal vocal from the intro and we'll slow the release down all the way. Something to note with the CLA 76 is that the 1 setting on the release is actually slowest and 7 is fastest. So let's hear that vocal with the release set to being as slow as possible.
I am someone. Still I try to get some sky and I don't know why.
It still sounds aggressive, but that's because it was a really good metal vocalist and he was really, really aggressive when he recorded it. But when you compare that to this, when I set the release setting to fastest, you'll hear just how much more that aggressive vibe you can get out of the compressor.
I am someone. Still I try to get some sky and I don't know why. You betrayed my heart.
Now that is a full-on assault, right? But that's what you want with these kind of genres with metal. Not so much with pop punk. You can rein it in a bit more so if it's more the vibe and the tempo of the song. But if you want to just go all out, full on in your face, you got to set the release to be super quick, because especially with the 1176 you can get so much of that. It really sounds like he's shouting, like spitting the words right in your face. Of course it sounds way over the top in solo, but when that's in with the aggressive metal music that's hitting you in the face as well, it just fits perfectly. Now let's bring in a pop punk vocal and we'll see how we can dial in the release to actually fit more of the vibe, so we're not just going all out. Okay, so like before, let's hear it with the release set as slow as possible. Much more I'm giving up. Even the thoughts in my head, I've surrendered. That sounds quite locked in, but it doesn't sound very full of life. You know, it sounds a little dead. You could definitely get more aggression out of it. And note that the source material has changed, so you don't necessarily want to go full on in your face. You want to dial that release in so that it fits with the material that you're working with. So let's turn this to being as fast as possible, and then dial it back from there. Much more I'm giving up. Even the thoughts in my head, I've surrendered too much of myself. We are just trying our best to survive. Earning a living means giving your life. The irony is that we're paying the price. And listening to that, I actually love it when it's getting towards the 7 on the release there, when it's getting faster and faster. It just brings so much more life into the vocal. And it's if we play it again, we'll go from slowest to fastest, and you'll just see how much of a difference that makes. Much more I'm giving up. Even the thoughts in my head, I've surrendered too much much of myself. We are just trying our best to survive. Earning a living means giving your life. The irony is that we're paying the price. We don't want to die, so we'll give up the best of us. See, I just think it breathes so much life into the vocal, even when it's more relaxed and melodic like this. Even when the compressor is set to be this fast, I just think it really brings it forward, and really grabs your attention as the listener. So of course you can try this on any compressor that has attack and release settings. I love the CLA76 for this because the release is so fast, but you can use stock compressors, any compressor where you are able to manipulate attack and release. Or you can audition through all the different compressors that you have, whether they have attack and release or not, and just listen out for how much of that sort of spitting in your face sound that the compressor is giving you. Because in pop punk, in metal, in rock, you want your vocals up front and almost like shouting at you, because that's the vibe you're going for. Or at least that's the vibe I love and the vibe I go for when I mix songs. So hopefully this will help you get your vocals to really widen the eyes of your listeners when they hear your music. For more of these kinds of tips in the future, please subscribe to my channel. And remember, if you want a song mixed and mastered by me, then head over to terrybeckleyrecording.com and get in contact. See you at the next one.